Good afternoon, students, and welcome to Social Studies. I hope everybody's doing okay. Everybody had a great week. I myself, I'm doing fine, and I'm also having a great week. We didn't have too much rain, so no flood. Yay! Anyways, today it's Wednesday, the 28th, October 2020, and in today's lesson we are going to be continuing in Unit 12, pages 121 through 125. And in that unit, it's going to be about environment, which we should already know what environment is, right? There are two types of environment. There's a natural environment, and there are social environment. This is a lesson that we did a couple weeks back, so I hope you remember that. So before we continue this, let's do a quick review on what we studied last week. Last week we studied about what? Natural resources, right? And natural resources are things that happens naturally that are beneficial to men. So in other words, things that humans cannot make, but at the same time we need them to survive, like air, water, trees, okay? So those are all natural resources. Okay, very good. So let's continue on to this lesson. Again, in this chapter, we're going to be learning about environment. So environment, if you've forgotten, environment means thing that surround us. Okay, anything that is surrounding us. Now, there are two types, like I mentioned earlier. There's a natural environment, which an environment that man cannot make. Things that surround us, like mountains, forests. Okay, that's a natural environment. Now, number two is a social environment. Like things that are made by man. For example, the school. The school is a social environment. Okay? So here we're going to be talking about the changes in environment. Okay? So what this is saying is how does the environment changes? Okay? And in this unit it's going to explain there are two ways how the environment can change. Okay? There's a thing called natural process. Okay, that's a way of how the environment can change. What this means is a natural process is something naturally happening, okay, which man cannot do. Okay, that's a natural process. So that's how things change naturally. Okay, and B, man's action. The environment can also change by our choices, by our doing. So humans, we have a big impact on how the environment is formed, okay? And we will learn more in the second video after we read the text. And we will also be discussing about preserving and restoring the environment, okay? And preserving, that was one of your vocabulary words last week. So I hope you remember that. If not, you could always look back into your notebook and find out what it means. Okay, now restoring, to restore. Restore is to put things back to how they used to be, or even better. Okay, so that's restoring. So preserving and restoring the environment, there are two things. Preserving and restoring. This is how we can help our environment to get back to how it used to be, to keep our environment clean, okay? Preserving and restoring. And also, we will be learning about problem-solving ideas. These are ideas where you could help point out the problems so the world could see. So these are just steps that you could identify what the problem is, what causes the problem, how can we fix it, okay? So that is what we'll be discussing after we read this book, okay? So your key words for today. I want you to look up the definition, and as always, I want you to try to put the definition into your own words, okay? Number one, which is process. Again, process. Okay, number two, decay. Again, decay. Number three, accumulate. Again, accumulate. Okay, and number four, habitation. Again, habitation. And number five, global warming. Again, global warming. Okay? So, and then going on to your task. Before you start to read the text, I want you to look up the definition and then send that to me to my personal Telegram, and I will look it up, or I will look at it. And when I show you clip 2, please compare your definition with mine. If it's way off or if it's not the same, please correct it so you have the right definition, okay? And after you submit me your definition, you can go ahead and read pages 121 through 124. And after that, we will probably try to read together as a whole class, okay? Okay, thank you everybody. I'll see you in clip 2. Hello class, and welcome to video 2. Thank you for submitting me your task 1. So before we continue on to this, let's go over your task 1, okay? So number 1, the word process, okay? Process, the action that occur naturally in the environment without the help of man. So process means something happening that man is not involved in. Man has no part in doing it. Say like for an example, a volcano, when it erupts, there's a process going on, and it has to do with nature where it don't involve us people. Okay, and number 2, decay. Again, decay, it means to rot or decompose. So decay, in other words, it means to go bad or to change form, okay? Number 3, accumulate. Again, accumulate, a gathering or increase of something over time. So accumulate is like over the time things that are gathered together. And as they gather together over time, they become more and more of it. Okay, so that what accumulate mean. Okay, and number 4, habitation. Habitation is a house or a home. So it's just another word for house or home. So when we talk about habitat, animals' habitat, our habitat, we're talking about their homes, our homes, okay? And number 5, global warming. Okay, again, global warming is the rapid increase of temperature on Earth. So when we talk about global warming, we're talking about the temperature on Earth due to pollution. Okay, that's what global warming is. So again, everybody, thank you for turning in task 1. So when you guys read the text, we read about environment, right? And environment, again, are things that are surrounding us. And there are 2 types. We have social environment and natural environment. Okay, very good. Now, in this unit, they're talking about the changes in the environment. So how does the environment change? Okay, one way, natural process. Okay, natural process is a process where it don't involve people. It don't involve a human. In other words, Mother Nature. Mother Nature is responsible for natural process because things happen on their own. Like I mentioned earlier, volcanoes, when they erupt, they come out lava, and the lava becomes a hard rock, and it cleans out sometimes farmland and all that. So that's what that means. So that's how the environment changes with natural process. And there are quite a few more, like say we have heavy rain. Okay, heavy rain is a natural process because man cannot make rain. It's naturally made. Okay, Mother Nature makes rain. So when we get heavy rain, it causes changes in the environment. In some part, it causes flood. Okay, and what happens when we get flood? Sometimes the houses, they crumble down, they get pushed into the river and be swept away. Okay, so that is what we're talking about when we talk about natural process, okay? Now, another way of changes in the environment, how it's caused is by man's action, by human, by people, okay? Now, there's 2 parts when man's action. We have a positive and a negative, okay? Positive, it always means good, right? So when we talk about positive, what are humans doing that are good to help out their environment? Okay, and we can do that by putting back what we take. Okay, what that means is, for example, with the forest, okay, if we take trees from the forest, the least we can do is plant more trees, so in a few more years, more trees could grow, and then we could reuse the trees again. So it's like a cycle. Now, if we don't do positive things, if we do negative things, if we just keep taking trees from the forest and not planting trees back, there will be no more trees left. And we cannot get trees for wood to build houses. We cannot get paper from the trees. Okay, so man's action, it's a very big impact on how we change our environment. Man has more effect than a natural process. Okay, so number 2, preserving and restoring the environment. Okay, preserving we talked about last week, right, is to prevent bad things from happening to our natural resources. So preserving, what we can do is put things around waterways where people can't throw trash, or like in the forest, if we put like a perimeter like a wire or something where people cannot walk through, so it can maintain its natural habitat. Okay, and restore. Restore means to get things back to the way it used to be, and by doing this, it cleans our environment. Okay, it cleans our environment, and if our environment is clean, our natural environment, our natural resources will slowly come back. It won't come back real fast, but it will slowly come back for the next generation to enjoy. Okay, so that's what restore means. Okay, now for part 3, problem-solving ideas. These are just ideas for you to point out the problems in the world dealing with environment, okay? Number 1, you point out the problem, okay? You tell them what the problem is. Number 2, you point out the cause of the problem. So what is causing that problem? Okay, and then number 3, point out the benefits. So what do we get out of it if we put some work into it, okay? And number 4, show practical ways to build a good environment. So you show ways how you could build a better environment. So for a problem-solving idea, like number 1, you point out the problem. We could say the air. Example, the air is polluted. Okay? The air is polluted. Now we point out the cause. What's the cause? What's causing the air to be polluted? We could talk about cars. There's too many cars in the world now with the smog emission. The smog is polluting the air. It's destroying the ozone layer. So that would be the cause, and then now we got to point out the benefit. So for benefit, things we can do, example, if we could walk to work or ride our bike to work or to school and not use cars, eventually the smog, it won't be as severe. It won't be too much to be polluting, and our ozone layer will come back to being not quite normal, but it will be back to being a little bit in a better state than how it used to be, okay? Now, practical ways to build a good environment. So the practical ways are things like you could say, try to walk or ride your bicycle more than taking the bus or riding the car, okay? So those are some good ways. So moving along to your task, I want you to use these problem-solving ideas, okay? I want you to find one problem with our environment, okay? Find one problem with our environment and then use these 4 ideas and then write me a little paragraph or 2 about that, okay? And then please submit it to me, to my personal Telegram. And that is it, students. I will see you in clip 3. Thank you. Hello students, and welcome to video clip 3. First of all, thank you everybody for submitting me your task 2. I appreciate that, and I've seen some of you guys do understand what we're talking about. So in this clip, we're just going to review on what we have studied today, okay? So today we read about the environment, okay? And how does the environment changes? There are two ways, natural process and man's action. So those are the only two ways that the environment can change, okay? And again, with man's action, there's our two impact. There's a positive and a negative. Okay, and then we also learned about preserving and restoring our environment. So when we preserve our environment, we're doing things to help keep it clean, or we're preventing bad things from happening. That's how we preserve it, okay? Now to restore is trying to put things back together. For example, like the forest. Cut down trees, plant more trees. Okay, so we would have more for the next generation to use. Okay, and then we also learned about the problem-solving ideas. So when we write about problems with the environment, these 4 steps right here, it's a good start to know what you're going to be writing about, okay? So you point out the problem first, and then you find out the cause of the problem, and then you tell them the benefits of the problem if you fix it, okay? And then show the practical ways to build a good environment. And that is pretty much it for the environment on this section. So I hope everybody understand environment, okay? So moving along to your homework. Your homework, I want you to do some research on global warming, okay? And when you do some research on it, I want you to write me 2 paragraphs on what you find is most interesting to you, or what do you think that will interest other people. So again, research global warming and write me 2 paragraphs about it, okay? All right, class, thank you for joining class today. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget your homework. Everybody have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.